now moving on from the Rams, going to the other side in regards to the Chargers. It seems like we're on our way to officially signing Coach Harbaugh. There have been talks for the last couple of weeks now about whether things will be finalized. He went through interviews, had one interview. I think by the time he got serious, he'll have a second interview done. And in the second interview, they allegedly are just looking to get the contract things worked out as he looks to be in line to be joining us here. So though it's unofficial for us right now, by the time folks see this, it might be official. What are your thoughts on Harbaugh going to the Chargers?
It might. Yeah, I think he was probably like number 2. I don't know where you landed as far as who you wanted as the number 1 guy.
We had 1A, 1B between Belichick and Harbaugh. We kind of lean towards Belichick, but Harbaugh would be great as well.
Yeah, I think both guys would, and I think Harbaugh would be a great hire for them. Someone who has had some success with that 49ers team in the playoffs and getting to the Super Bowl. A guy that's had the ultimate success at Michigan, and despite the short suspension and the sign stealing debacle, he was able to get through that, get his team through that, and get the chance.
I like that coach can take some chances. Taking chances, Harbaugh. We appreciate that.
Not afraid to bend the rules a little bit. Is that what you're saying?
You gotta bob and weave a little bit. Dudes gotta do.
Hey, Belichick has done that in the past too, and
exactly.
we had both of them as top guys for potentially getting the job. So I guess there is a little bit to that, and guys that will take every extra inch they can to get a step ahead on their opponent, I guess you would say. But beyond the jokes, I think he is a really solid coach. That Harbaugh family definitely can coach for sure, as we see, and he's got that title under his belt in Michigan, and I'm sure is hungry for doing the same and bringing this Chargers team out of whatever curse it is and bringing them some success in the playoffs. So I think he would be a great fit for them, someone who can change the culture hopefully a little bit and help to elevate this team who always has those lofty expectations and on paper and has seemed to disappoint. So I think he would be definitely a positive hire for this team.
Definitely a positive hire, definitely exciting, and we'll love to again just celebrate him as once that becomes a truly official. And hopefully, again, by the time y'all see this, that it is. And yeah, I definitely think he could bring some toughness to this Chargers squad and some moxie and all the great things that he possesses to the squad that we've been missing for some time there. So very, very excited to have him on staff here, and he's looking forward to what is next. Seeing where he has come from with Michigan, seeing where he was at with the Niners before that, what would you like to see Harbaugh implement from his past teams with the Chargers?
That's a good question. I'm not sure that what jumps out to me immediately. Is there something that comes to mind for you in terms of his philosophy?
I'll definitely go there. There are a couple of things. You see this picture here. Blake Corum was a great running back for this Michigan squad this last year, having a tough back that could do a whole lot for the offense and took a lot of pressure off J.J. McCarthy. Folks have said J.J. had all the thoughts about J.J., whatever the case may have been, but he was able to produce as he was because he had a great backfield mate in Blake Corum there. So getting a guy again next to Justin Herbert, if he can bring the best back out of Austin Eckler somehow and do that'd be great. But with him seeming to be out the door, going to find somebody else young, I don't know if it would be Corman exactly him entering the draft himself, but just finding another back to go next to Herbert would be great to continue to rebuild this offense. Also, as we've seen in the past, that Harbaugh has had great tight ends. We had Vernon Davis with the Niners as well. So only getting a good tight end target that he can turn, that Herbert can go to beyond the weapons are already on the outside, I think will be very helpful for him as things go along. So the toughness and all of that we can say as well for sure. Having a defense in both these squads, the Niners for sure had a great defense. Michigan had a great defense. Keeping that built up as he continues to do, surely would be very helpful as well. As we saw our woes last year, even with Staley supposed to be the defensive expert that he was, things did not go as planned. So, I think if he can actually get the defense where it's supposed to be and then get the right pieces around Herbert as he's done with his teams in the past, I would love to see how he makes that happen this time around in LA. So, we would love to see that.
Yeah, I definitely co-sign the running game point, especially even if it's not Harbaugh. I think they needed to bring some balance there to the
Real
offense.
quick, now I will say this with all due respect.
Oh, where are we going here?
With all due respect, there are rumors because we saw as well on this Niners squad that the OC for this squad was Greg Roman, and we saw how things went in Baltimore. With all due respect, I would rather not.
You're saying like as a Chargers like supporter, you'd
I
rather
would
not
rather
have
keep Kellen Moore as the OC
yes,
and make that happen in some sort of way than bring in Greg Roman and try that again.
Sure.
We see that Greg Roman can work in very run-heavy offenses as he was in Baltimore, as he was with the Niners, having Kaepernick what he did with that offense. I don't think Herbert is exactly of that same cloth. He's much more of a passer himself, and maybe Greg actually may want that, but I think having Kellen Moore, who already has somewhat of a rapport with him, is a better keep there. So I think that keeping Kellen Moore as the OC would be the right move there. If that's what they if that's up in the air. So
definitely.
Greg Roman is not following me. I hope if he is, then my bad. But hey, and just keeping it real here as Chargers fans who want to see this team continue to take the next steps.
Yeah, definitely agree with that point as well, as far as sticking with Kellen Moore. I mean, we've seen him in Dallas too be able to have a balanced offense where they had Dak throwing the ball, but they also had Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott with a nice dynamic duo there, where as Pollard, maybe he was dealing with injury this season, but Pollard wasn't the same Pollard in that lead back role this year, and they weren't able to have the same dynamic there with Pollard and Dowdle. So clearly, Kellen Moore, when you have an arm talent like Herbert too, you're going to want to emphasize the throw in the passing game, but he can scheme up offensive sets for the running back to be successful as well too. So I don't think there's no need to go for a Greg Roman or a different OC. I think you should give Kellen Moore the opportunity to coach for this season as well too. This offense but yeah, the run game they're going to need, regardless of it's Harbaugh or if it's another head coach, they're going to need balance there because they weren't able to get efficient run game from Eckler or Joshua Kelly, who we joked about several times.
Right.
They need that balance for Herbert so that it's not just relying on him to kind of backpack the team like the Bills had done for several years with no running game, and you become very predictable. So I agree with you that they're gonna need to emphasize bringing in a guy that can be the 3-down back and bringing in a change of pace guy as well too.
Yeah, definitely excited for that. We'll see how things get implemented in that regard. The last thing I'll kind of say with these Chargers in regards to these pieces they may be adding, I just mentioned with Harbaugh about how he had the great run game before and what he's been doing with past teams, as well as the tight end game in regards to having Vernon Davis and people of that in the past. The Chargers are projected right now to be in line to draft Brock Bowers from Georgia. Would you take a tight end at the 8th spot in the draft, or you think that's too high? They should look otherwise with there being great receivers as well. So that will be on the board.
I don't know that you can say it's too high if you believe you identified your guy. Like he's an extremely talented player as well. Not necessarily that you're going to get the Sam Laporta type of production immediately.
Sure.
But he is one of those tight ends that kind of plays like a wide receiver as well too. So I think if they truly believe like he is the guy for this offense, then yeah, I mean, like Lions weren't afraid to take a running back early in Jahmyr Gibbs, and it's paid dividends for them with how dynamic he's been for that offense. Even with having Montgomery already, I don't think they would take that pick back, honestly, at this point. So if they feel like at 8, other guys are off the board and he's the best available and fits type of offensive scheme that they want to run if it's Harbaugh there, I'd say go for it. At that point, I think Herbert needs more offensive pass catchers, skill players, and he fits that build.
Yeah.
So if it's not him, it's got to be another pass catcher. But
the tough thing is, it would be great if we already had guys like Quentin Johnson now already rolling after last season, or we had younger guys like I think Jalen Guyton, who's still on the roster as a receiver, and people of that nature have already been taking the next steps. But they have not quite, as we saw last year, and people complained about it, not elevated as we thought they would. So when you're not in the 8th spot and you still have Malik Neighbors on the board, and you still have Keon Coleman, and there's other receivers that are going to be on the board that folks really like in this draft, it's going to be hard to say we're going to go with the tight end, even as good as the tight end might be, when our outside receivers have not been as great as we have hoped. So it's going to be a tough call. If things have played out perfectly and they did play well, of course you grab Brock and he fits perfectly as the next missing piece. But because the receivers are not sure, with Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, our top two guys, also not being sure with their injury history as it's been. Keenan a little bit more sure actually in the last year, thankfully.
Getting older,
getting older, and then Mike not being what we had hoped. I think you might be in a spot where you say, and perfect world we take Brock, but it's not perfect right now. We gotta get receivers still. Let's go get Malik instead and put him on the outside and let Justin cook with him. So I don't think it's a wrong pick either way, but it's a lot less clear because of our last season win. Yeah. So
I'll say, like, we've seen beyond Laporta, we've seen a lot of tight ends be very productive for teams this year, like Dalton Kincaid, Jake Ferguson, Dalton Schultz. Like, we've seen a lot of tight ends be almost lead receivers at points for their teams too.
We've seen a few Renaissance receivers as well. We saw the tight ends where a couple of guys who were a little bit older. I remember there at least for a couple of weeks. I know it's not. I don't want to fully bank on this, but they're random guys like I think even like Jawan Johnson had a good game here and there. Even for the Chargers, Joe Everett stepped up at times throughout the year. So not saying you just find tight ends, but there are a few that are in the league that can be turned to. We talk about big swings in for the Rams. A big swing for the Chargers could be, hey, let's just go and get a veteran tight end already, and then we'll draft the receivers instead. So could be an option. We'll see how it plays out. But yeah, definitely gonna be tuned in, and we'll talk about this more as things go along. Anything else with the Chargers you want to address?
I don't believe so.
Cool. So that really is it, NFL-wise then. For those that tuned into this part, yet again, as we close, continue to show love to LA Sports Report. Appreciate everybody tuning into this. We'll be live for those that want to check us out live and want to be part of the conversation. Live on Tuesdays and Thursdays is the plan. You can follow us on Twitch, YouTube, and Twitter, as you can be a part of the conversations there when they are posted. For those on Twitch, you have to follow us to be a part of the chat. We really appreciate that. Get those numbers up, and we'll show love back to you. We'll continue to bring these great episodes to you along the way. So great things on that front. Now